So first and foremost, let me just take the time to say thank you so much to all of you who have taken the time to subscribe thus far. And to anyone who hasn't, if this is your very first video, please make sure to go down below, down here somewhere, and hit that button for me. And if you don't know me, I'm Christian Lee, one half of Lee and Janae. And we're going to get right into the video. Let's do it. So in today's video, I just want to talk to y'all about paying our tithes. And before I get too deep into this, let me just say that I just learned maybe 3 or 4 years ago that church donations are tax deductible. And this is because throughout the entirety of my life, I've never been a member of a church until maybe like 5 years ago or something like that. Something around that. But anyways, and so I've paid my tithes long before I actually became a member of a church, but I would always just give what the Lord placed in my heart to give as far as what I was making at the time. And I would just keep it between me and him. I didn't want necessarily anybody at the church pocket watching or what have you. You know, we all have our different ideals of what people are doing with the money that we give to churches. And I know that's a lot of people's issue. So this is exactly why I'm making this video. But like I said, I didn't realize that this was tax deductible because I had never placed my name on it until me and my wife started giving our tithes together. And that was something that she would do. And I had no problem with it. It was just something that I always just kept personal for my own reasons. But later on, of course, because of this, there was a form sent to the house, and it was a tax form. And then I realized that the church was keeping track of everything that we had been given because we had been writing our names on there and everything. And so herein lies the internal debacle for me. Because now we have this form that we can give to show how much money we've been given to the church. And we can actually use it to get some money back or to at least taper off whatever, however taxes work. You can use it as a deduction, to say the least. And so for me, that's like saying, God, I'm going to give you this money right now, but I'm going to need a little bit back later. And I felt some type of way about that because every time that I pay my tithes and I give to the Lord, it's done out of me just wanting to establish to him that this money has no power over me. I don't care about this. You gave it to me, so I'm just giving it back. And so like I said, you know, I'm being silly about it, but this is a lot of people's issue when it pertains to paying tithes. We tend to always be thinking about what we're going to get back. When we go to church and just, you know, church in general, we're thinking about miracles and the miraculous things that God can do in our life. And so a lot of times we love God with an expectation. And what I've learned just through relationship period, whenever you love, like especially my wife the most, whenever I love her with an expectation or I have certain standards or things that I want her to meet as far as it pertains to, you know, what I like or what I want her to do for me, our relationship always starts to break. Because whenever you treat somebody like they owe you something for what you do for them, you know, we see this all throughout our life. Whenever we treat people like it's a favor for a favor, then there's really no room for growth within that relationship because there's no real love. There's no just pouring out and when I got it, you have it. And if you don't, then we good because you can get it next time if you got it. But if you don't, then we still good because that's not what love look like. It's not always expecting something in return for what you do for another person in your life. And so another analogy that I can use is the fact that as we spiritually mature, just as in the natural world with our parents. At one time, we needed our parents to do everything for us. As we got older, more mature in our teen years, less and less we require certain things of our parents. And then as we get even older, more and more we have to help our parents, and we start to want to invest in their lives in the same way that we feel like they did for us. And so this is the same way that we are supposed to respond to God. I'm not saying that you can't expect anything from him in return, because he's our Father. He's going to do what's best for us. We have to understand that, and we have to believe that. And when you pay your tithes, you can't think about what somebody is going to do with the money. You just got to know within your heart, you doing this to give it to God because he's shown you love. He's kept you. He's made sure you had everything that you need and required. So you just giving him that love in the same way that as your natural parents age, you don't want from them as much. I mean, I still want from my parents more so just emotionally, like just to talk to them and be around them, and for them to want to spend time with me. It's not necessarily, Mom, can you help me pay my bills? Or Dad, can you do this for me? But I still want things from them. Yes, there's a certain level of expectation that we have over everybody in our lives. But when you don't know how to come out of yourself and realize that there's a certain level of selfishness that comes with expectation, and when you treat people like, if you don't do this for me, then I'm not doing nothing for you, then that relationship can't grow. And this is what's happening by us holding back our tithes and us not understanding that we're not giving to God because we want something from him. We giving to him because we understand what he's already done in our lives. So please hear me loud and clear when I say that God doesn't want your money, my money. He wants us. He wants our hearts, because he knows how much of our lives revolve around taking care of business financially and just all of the things that we do with money. He knows how much of an intricate part of our lives it is. And so he says that we can't serve money and him. And so by giving it to him and not necessarily worrying about what people are going to do with it, because people are going to be people. It's not about what people do with that money. It's about your connection to God and just showing him that money doesn't have a hold on you. Because ultimately, it's people in other countries who have a heart for God that don't pay tithes, that are not from this westernized world that we live in. They don't live in America. And so just the way that our ecosystem is set up, it's not the same way over there. So money is not of the same value. But over here, money is valuable. We can all admit to that. Money is very valuable. And so God says that wherever your heart is, or wherever your treasure is, there is your heart also. There your heart is also. I'm screwing it all up. Either way, make sure your treasure in heaven. Make sure your treasure is Jesus himself. And that's all he's trying to teach us. It's a training process, just like parents train their kids so that they can mature and understand how to handle their responsibilities. God is just trying to train us up to understand that he wants us to serve him with our hearts, with our intentions, with everything that we do, man. He don't care about your money. So ultimately, you're not hurting the church or whoever, because God is trying to teach us that it's about what you're doing outside of there. Even with people who struggle with going to church, I'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But it's about what you're doing outside of those walls, man. And how you're really pouring yourself out for his glory, not for whatever it is that, you perceived your life to be about. We all have our own aspirations and our own dreams, but you got to make sure that you're living for God. And when you give him your money, what you're doing is showing him, you bless me, God. I owe this to you. Even though you can't repay him. He bought us on that cross. We can't repay him. But money is valuable. And so he's trying to train us not to love it. Because it's hard not to love it when so much of your life revolves around it. I mean, we have to begin to understand that money is such a huge aspect of all of our lives. So we tend to fall in love with it more than God. And by asking us to release it, all God is trying to do is just pull us back to himself. That's all. Y'all make sure y'all leave y'all comments down below, because I know everybody doesn't feel exactly the same way that I feel about the tax deduction. But that's the first thing that came to my mind when I realized that this was a thing. And we got to understand, man, God don't want our money. He wants us. He wants you to have a devoted heart to him. But all in all, it's tax season, y'all. Go ahead and make sure y'all get what's ever due to y'all. And I pray that this was just a little food for thought for somebody who might be struggling in the area of understanding why should you pay tithes. God is trying to teach us to live for him, man. To live for him with everything. Not just our money, but just everything in us. And until we can at least give to the local church or wherever we attend or don't attend, if we seeking God with all of ourselves, we're not going to begin to understand that it's far more work to do than just giving your money to the church. It's far more work to do. And we all a part of that. You know, it's one thing to give to your family, your kids, your wife, your husband, whomever. It's one thing to give to these people in our lives. The Bible says that all of us do that. Even people who don't love God, who are not thinking about him, who do not care anything about God, take care of their responsibilities, their family, the people who take care of them. You know, because our families take care of us. And everything I do for my wife, I get it back tenfold just because of the level of reciprocation that we have for one another. And so God is trying to train us to love on all these people around us that don't have anyone pouring into their lives. Because there's a lot of people who in adoption centers, it's a lot of people who, you know, struggling, you know, they had alcohol problems and they've been abandoned by their family. So they, you know, somewhere just messed up. It's a lot of people like that. And I'm not saying, you know, we need to be philanthropists. But what I'm saying is that God placed gifts in all of us if we start to seek him. You know, everybody is talented, but you can't get these spiritual gifts until you start to realize that God is trying to get us to see past this money. Give him all of yourself, man. Give him all of yourself. I love y'all from here to heaven. And until next time, we are